Hello everyone and welcome to my new video. How have you been doing? Are you all staying well and healthy? Speaking of health, I recently had a conversation with one of my friends regarding the Korean healthcare system and how different it is from Europe. And so I thought it would be interesting to give you a bit more insight into how the Korean healthcare system works. And especially for the incoming foreign students, it could be a valuable information. You may remember me talking about the mandatory national insurance system subscription that started in 2019, which meant that all foreigners residing for long-term in Korea had to be subscribed to the national insurance. It was a bit complicated, but for foreign students, it was postponed until February 2021, but that month is coming, so soon I'll have to be subscribed to the national insurance system as well. So I thought it might be interesting to tell you a bit more how this system works. Similarly to, for example, Singapore, Korea has this national system, which means that every resident pays every month a certain amount of money that goes for the national insurance. The money that they pay is calculated based on their income, so if you make more money, you're paying more. But when you go to get any treatment, usually about 80% of the fees are covered by the insurance, and you don't really have to do anything like ask somewhere to get the refund or whatever. It's just covered. Just go to the hospital, get the treatment, and in most cases you don't have to pay. What is great about the system is that because it's national, people say that that's why it's lower in price, and it also allows you to go to even specialized doctors like dentists, for example. But the reason why foreign students were exempted from this insurance system is because as students, we don't have any income, and living abroad can be already very expensive. For people who don't have income, like students, the amount that you have to pay is calculated based on the average South Korean income, which would mean that we would have to pay around $100 a month. Luckily, they decided to reduce it in half for students, but still, $50 a month, a lot of money, especially given the fact that a lot of universities already provide much more affordable insurance systems for foreign students coming into Korea. Nevertheless, we'll have to see how this goes. But back to the Korean system. Living in Czech, I also experienced a lot of the insurance problems there because unlike in Korea, in Czech the system is not national. Compared to other countries, as for example US, most people have affordable insurance. So usually a lot of the treatments, especially the basic one, is covered by our insurance. The problem arises when you have to get some specialized treatment and the hospital doesn't have a contract with your insurance company. This is something that I experienced a lot. So for example, I needed to get MRI scans or something else, but I had to look up the hospital that had a contract with my insurance company and get it done there. If I went to a different one, I would have to pay for all of it. So that's one positive of the Korean national system, because you don't have to worry about it. The other interesting thing is, compared to UK, I had really positive experiences, but one thing that I noticed that if you need to go to any specialized doctor like orthopedics, whatever, you have to go to your GP first. You have to get him or her to write you like statement that you need this treatment. Only then can you go to the specialized doctor. That usually doesn't happen in Korea. But now what about the hospitals themselves? You might be asking, I'm a foreigner, I'm not really good in Korean, how am I gonna do this? You might remember, if you're following me for a while, that within 2 months of me living in Korea, I had to go to hospital and pretty much had to visit the place every single week. Why? I was really dumb. I went roller skating and I broke my shoulder. Typical me. At the time, I still lived in the Songdo campus in Incheon. I went to the nearby Incheon hospital because the doctor at the Yonsei campus said, oh, this is probably broken and you should probably get it checked out in an actual hospital. They wrote me like all the directions, but at the time I was 2 months in Korea. My Korean still sucks, and you can't imagine how bad it was back then. So I was really terrified. I was alone in a taxi, just like going somewhere completely new, and I walked into the hospital. I went to the 3rd floor as they instructed me. Then I had to go see the doctor, who was honestly really kind. He tried his best, but obviously our communication was a bit tricky, to say at least. especially if you're going to hospitals that are not in the like main big cities. It can be a bit tricky, but there are some solutions to this problem. For example, you can just try to go to the big city hospital like the Severance Hospital near Yonsei campus. They usually have English speaking staff or someone who can help you even if you can't speak Korean. The second thing is that you can ask for a translator. This is something that the Incheon hospital did, and I'm very grateful because from the second visit they provided me with a translator who helped me like go through all this. What am I doing? Where should I go next? Fun fact, it was actually another fellow UIC student and we're best friends until today. Hello and thank you if you're watching. Overall, the experience wasn't that tricky. Once I got the hang of it, it was easy going to the hospital every week. Everything is very fast. Everyone was very like welcoming and kind. And one thing that I really want to point out is that I don't know if this is so outdated, but in Czech, when you go get scans, usually you have to be naked. I don't like it. It's like, who wants to lie on this cold like bed like while people are watching and being naked? Whereas in Korea, you get your locker, you can change there, you get like these little interesting gowns and no problem. The communication, it was funny. I still remember how the guy who was helping me like take the scan was like trying to tell me, please, can you lift up your arm? And I'm like, it's broken. That's why I can't lift it. And I couldn't say that in Korean. It was really funny. Overall, I had quite a pleasant experience. And from what I've talked with my Korean friends, they all have pretty great experiences with the Korean healthcare system as well. I feel like there's always positives and negatives. And if I just didn't have to worry too much about the cost, it would definitely be better. The only other thing that I miss in Korea is that certain areas are not as well staffed. So for example, therapy or any kind of psychological health guidance is a bit tricky to find in Korea. There are therapists, there are people like there, and especially for those who are not comfortable speaking Korean, it can be a bit tricky. So those are my experiences from Korean hospitals. In general, I think, especially in these days, we can see how strong the Korean healthcare system is, and it is amazing that when I arrived in Korea again, all the testing, everything was done for free. And usually the COVID-19 patients, they don't have to worry about the cost of their treatment whatsoever. In terms of the subscription for foreign students, I will definitely keep you updated, and I'll hopefully be able to share something new quite soon because February 2021 is coming really fast. I hope that this video was informative. I hope that I was able to give you some more info about how Korean healthcare works. And if you're interested, you can definitely check out more through the links that I put down below. While you're there, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and follow me on all my social media. The links are down below as always. I'll see you in my next week's video. Bye!